Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the SMB Talks, episode 1. Episode 10. I'm still on that first episode mode. I can't believe I've been doing this for the last 2.5 months. It's been fantastic. I have been talking to a lot of amazing individuals. So, the whole purpose why I started this was to introduce amazing entrepreneurs and their ventures to the larger audience. Because the times are tough, and we all are struggling. We all are struggling with our own issues, and with the pandemic coming around, we are all looking for every bit of motivation we can look for. So we have already met 9 interesting folks over here. So I've changed the format of the show a little bit. So it's going to be 4 shows every month, right? So two is going to be entrepreneurs, SMB owners coming out with their exciting ventures. And number two, other two will be subject matter experts. I'm going to pick experts who can come in and share valuable insights with the larger crowd. So today, it's one of those sessions. I'm so excited about this. So I have Mr. Sudhir with me. Sudhir is the marketing director of Origin Growth. It's a boutique growth marketing agency based out of UK. It's not an average marketing agency. They challenge traditional approaches. We will hear it all about it from Sudhir in a little bit of time. Sudhir, he has more than 12 years of experience. He loves it. It's his passion. He helps businesses grow their sales. He loves making a difference to an organization's sales. He enjoys getting under the skin of their clients to understand their offering, develop creative, consistent branding and messaging, and things like that. His team has worked across a wide variety of B2B and B2C clients from sectors including technology, automotive, utilities, and finance. So he has done a lot of work. He's currently writing his book, How to Be Human Selling in a Digital World. So we are so lucky to hear from him today because he is one of the best folks who can talk about social selling, account-based marketing, and things like that. So without further ado, let me bring him on.
Hi, Vivek.
Hey, Sudhir.
You well?
Good. Yeah, I can hear you. How are you doing?
Well, I'm really well, thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate that introduction. That was pretty amazing, and yeah, excited.
Right. So I'm super excited because we have been connected for a while, and we have been talking about doing something together. And I'm so glad that you're here to talk about social selling because it's an area where everybody wants to get into, but nobody has no clue what it is. And there are a lot of misconceptions and myths and things around. People do social selling programs in all different wrong ways and get it messed up. So shall we start?
Yeah, let's go for it.
All right. So let's start with the basics, right? So what I want to know from you is what is social selling, right? And how does it help organizations?
Okay, so social selling in essence, and I think this is often overlooked, the key is to focus on the social bit rather than the selling.
Right.
Social selling is all about building relationships with your target audience, adding value, interacting with them, engaging with them, offering them expertise. It's about speaking to those individuals on their terms. And just to give them context, if we just take a step back and consider, the world that we now live in, we live in a global digital economy. We've evolved. The way that we communicate, the way that we interact has completely changed thanks to the Internet of Things. We're now connected. We all have mobile phones, smart devices, watches, tablets, you name it. And, traditional marketing methods and tactics going back, if you think of cold calling, emails, television ads, door-to-door sales, they don't resonate anymore because the buyer now has the upper hand. The buyer and the buying journey has completely changed. People right now, and we do this because we're human beings and we're consumers as well. We're busy. We're online. We have access to so much information. We're spoiled for choice. So if you take into consideration, we all are on certain channels, whether they'll be YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, you name it. We're on channels, we're on websites, we are consuming pieces of information. We're always active. And that's a massive opportunity. If you consider your target audience, getting in front of your target audience. And when I say getting in front of them, I don't mean let's just find the channel these guys are on and bombard them with ads, because again, that's not going to resonate. How's about you actually get in those channels, get in around the ecosystems of your consumers, have conversations with them, understand them. What are their pain points? What are their challenges? What type of content do they prefer? What tone of voice? What format? If you take an interest in your audience and you have that engagement, you can't beat that. That's human-to-human interaction. And that's going to be absolutely key moving forward, especially now during what's happening in the pandemic. So social selling is all about that, being social, engaging with the audience, offering them value, showing them that you have that human-to-human instinct about you, that you actually care, and building a relationship, because that's what businesses were built upon, building relationships. Sales guys, why do you have a sales team? Not just for the network, because they have those key relationships. So that in essence is what social selling is about. And that's why I think it's coming to fruition now. It is a bit of a buzzword, and people will use it and abuse it and try to find, the quick fixes, which we'll talk about, moving forward. But that's my take on it.
Right, yeah. Because I think even consumers, B2C or B2B, they're also kind of bombarded with the ads which are monotonous, the messages, the whatever, even events, everything has gone virtual and things like that. So it's better to have relationship with your target audience and then take it from there. That's a very good point. Right. So you want to say something?
I was just going to say, even the way that we used to network, networking events, used to go there. Again, you would build relationships. You would never go up to someone at a networking event or in any place and just do your sales pitch.
You're right.
You just wouldn't do that. You take an interest in them, and what you're doing is you're taking that element, that human-to-human interaction, and you're replicating it online. That's what social selling is all about.
Right. Yeah, that's a fantastic point there. So as the times are going crazy now, every organization is struggling to come out of this lockdown and catch up on all the losses and getting operations in place. So what do you think? Do you think that social selling is super important during times like these?
Yeah, I think what we've seen and what I've personally seen is a huge shift in the adoption of digital. If you had said to me, a few months ago that I would be having webinars and speaking to my family and friends via Teams and Zoom, I would have thought you were bonkers. But in our own personal lives, we've seen an adoption of digital from people that aren't digital native. We've seen acceleration in digital transformation. So now that a lot of us have become used to being more active online, and more people are online now, that presents businesses with a great opportunity right now, not to sell. And I said this in a vlog a few weeks ago. Now isn't the time to sell, but now is the time to listen. So you can now engage with the audience and get that understanding in. You've got a time to truly understand them now. Do your market research now. Have that conversation with them, so you can actually paint a better picture to actually serve them with solutions to the pain points that they have. So that's why I feel right now is a great opportunity for businesses, for brands, to reach out and engage with people, because there are more people online now.
Yeah. Actually, I've been seeing that, if you look at LinkedIn, for an example, the kind of engagement on polls, even job applications have gone 2x, 3x. So that's the kind of dynamics which these networks are seeing. Yeah. So it's a perfect time to kick off or start thinking about your social selling programs, right? So how can someone or maybe an organization kick off their social selling program? What are the basics they need to have in place?
There's a number of steps, and I've sent the guide to you, which you can share with everyone. I'll give you a top level overview, but in the first instance, it is about understanding, where are your audience? Where do they live online? You need to understand that. For me and yourself, our audiences are predominantly on LinkedIn. We're in the space. I want to speak to business owners and C-suite individuals. But if you're in B2C and it's Instagram and it's Twitter, it just really is about figuring out where does your audience live. Once you figure that out, then it's about, who are the key decision makers, who are the key people that you want to get in front of, who are the people that you want to have those conversations with. And that comes down to your buyer personas. But rather than building fictional ones where you're guessing, use that as a basis, yes, but then go and conduct your market research. And there's a number of tools that are out there. LinkedIn's a great tool. Sales Navigator is just a level up above it. But you can really start to paint a picture of these individuals. So whether it's, let's just use an example and say we want to focus on CTOs in the fintech area, and we only want to focus on businesses based in London. We can do that on LinkedIn. Right. We can really home in, and we can get the numbers to see, how many people, how many organizations fit that criteria, fit that profile. And then it's about, once we've figured out that landscape, how do we engage with these people? What are the pain points? What are the challenges? Map out a content plan. And content is key. All your engagement, whether it's you're commenting, you're liking, you're sharing, or you're creating content, it's going to be key, because there is so much out there. As you know, there is so much noise. And to really cut through that noise, you have to understand your audience, because you want to resonate. If you're going to start to write generic content, the top 10 tips and, all of that sort of stuff, that, it's been done. And there's so many articles about that. But if you truly understand your audience and you can talk about your experiences and get those, those nuances across to the individual reading, that's be like, actually, that makes sense. That really resonates with me. That moment, that little eureka moment, is going to position you ahead of everyone else. And that's what you're looking to do. So understand your audience, find out where they live, look at the type of content they are consuming, look at the groups that they are part of, join those groups, follow those people. If you can generally contribute to their conversations, contribute towards that. If you feel you can add value to these individuals. So if say, for instance, there's a lot of talk around digital transformation. Right. If it applies to a specific CTO that you see is consuming types of information, you can look at people's news feeds. You can see what they're liking and commenting on.
Right.
Send them a white paper. I've just written this white paper. I really think chapter 3 would resonate with you. It would be great to get your feedback on that. You're reaching out with insight. You're talking around content, but you're focusing on them. There's nothing to do with sales pitches here. There's nothing to do with product demos. It's literally about, how can I help you? I think this will be of use to you. Someone receiving that, it's like, wow, this person's taken the time to understand me, and they're sending me a piece of information that they are saying that they've written, and they want my feedback on it. That is a total different approach, a total shift in mindset and culture to reach out to an individual. It's all about providing value. Once you start to engage with these people, you have the conversation, then it's about taking that conversation offline.
Right.
So in essence, what you are doing is you're warming up these leads, because we are all used to MQLs and SQLs. Someone downloads something, it's an MQL. They go to the website, oh, it's an SQL, give them a phone call. That annoys all of us. We all know it, but yet we still do it because it's easy, it's quick, and we use that methodology. Shifting to this mindset takes time. But and it's longer, but what you're doing is you're nurturing that relationship. So that in essence is my very, very basic top level steps of social selling. As I said, we've got the guide which we can share, which will give the guide more in depth.
Absolutely. I'll do that. So just to tell the viewers that Sudhir has got a fantastic guide on social selling, which is very in depth, lot of insights. So any of you want that, just message me on LinkedIn or DM me on LinkedIn if you're connected with me. I'll be more than happy to share that with you guys. Anyway, I'll be sharing it on my feed very soon after this show. So what I'm hearing is it's about a lot of empathy, basically, right? You have to place yourself in your target audiences, or maybe your persona's shoes, and start thinking from their angle the kind of challenges they are facing at this point of time.
Yeah.
Right? And then that will make it easier for you to have a genuine conversation with them. Let the sales happen later, but the connection and the conversation can start this manner. So that's fantastic. Actually, I really love the way you put it. All right. So if you have to point out a most critical ingredient or a step for the success of a social selling program, what that will be?
There's two I would really say that stand out for me. One is to be human. So as I said, and keep emphasizing at the beginning, the social aspect. You have to be human. When you are writing responses, it has to come from you. You know, it has to resonate.
Right.
There are ways that people cut corners using bots and automation tools, but again, we know when we've received a message and it's not genuine, and we know when it's a template and it's been copied and pasted.
Right.
You're losing credibility. Yes, I understand it takes time, but social selling is about turning up daily, dedicating the time, and truly understanding that individual that you're speaking to. And then the other part of it, I would really say to people, you need to have the right mindset. This is not about, wow, this is a channel and let's take the automation tools that we use elsewhere, configure it to this and just spam everybody and just send sales messages or just do lots of retargeting ads and totally, move away from what I've just talked about in terms of having conversation, engage with people and adding value. You need to have the right mindset. This is about understanding your audience, having those conversations, understanding them, resonating with them, and adding value. And that's one of the key things. If you remember, Gary Vee released a book called Jab, Jab, Right Hook.
Yep, I have it right behind me.
Yeah, I knew you had it. I knew you had it because you're a fellow reader like me. With the analogy of the jab being, add value, and the right hooks being, get the sales message across. Great analogy, but for me, I think it's all about jabs now. I really don't feel you need to do the right hook, because if you are adding enough value within your network, you're being active, you're being present, genuine, the amount of value you're adding, how you're positioning yourself, you are building up your social capital, which is your reputation online. Yep. So when it does come to your network and they have that specific pain point or that problem, they automatically think of you because you have been, because you are known for that. Just like the way you introduced me in a great way. You clearly said ABM and marketing. That's Sud's bag. That's what Sud's known for, because that's how I've positioned myself. And this is what you also need to do when it comes to social selling. It's the same sort of thing. So I would say be human and have the right mindset. Right.
So I'm a big fan and follower of Brian Tramer. I'm pretty sure you know him. So he's the founder of H2H leadership skills and H2H methodology. So he talks about being human in each and everything. So I can resonate that here to selling aspect. Also, I want to add a point here is recently I was trying my hands out on social selling, and I made a soft right hook to a person, and that person responded to me saying that, Vivek, I love the way you pitched subtly to me. It didn't feel like a pitch. So I was so happy to hear that. It didn't progress, but I was so happy that I was trying to be as empathetic as possible and engaging with him in conversations. Finally, I made a subtle pitch and he didn't feel offended or taken back because of that approach. That's fantastic, actually. I'm loving it.
Back to you being yourself. So I've had it before. I had a person follow me on LinkedIn, like, some people connect, some people follow. This individual's followed me for, I think, around about 6 or 7 months. Now, you have that many followers, it's very hard to keep up. But they followed me, eventually they connected with me, and then they reached out to me and they were like, I want ABM, love to talk to you. Now, I reacted as I always would, managing the individual's expectations, and I spoke to them and said, right, ABM is phenomenal, but before we talk about any sales altogether, I need to understand you and your business. I need to understand what you're trying to achieve. What do you currently have in place? What are your objectives? And that's exactly how I went back to him. And he came back to me and went, that's exactly the response I was hoping I would get. You didn't pitch to me. You didn't sell to me. You are that genuine person. Then we took the conversation offline and we had a meeting. And it just goes to show that, you can be a little bit too eager and just jump in there straight away. But I was being myself, because the last thing I want to do is to pitch something or to get something in place which isn't the right fit for that individual. And that's my culture, and it's the culture that we have here. So again, be yourself. It's not always about, getting those numbers and selling to anyone. It's selling to the right individual where you can actually help and make a difference.
Right, absolutely. Because Also, I think these are the times when marketers are very careful about right hooks. They're just worried about whether it has given a kind of a shocker to marketers and salespeople to whether to pitch or not. Earlier, it was shameless pitching all over the place.
Yeah.
But now they're worried of offending the customers because everybody is going through a lot of trauma and things like that.
Yeah,
Cool.
you need to be aware of the situation, which is why I said, with everything that's going on, the last thing that people want is sales pitches.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean you can't be compassionate with them and just have a conversation. Are you okay? Hope things are okay. How are you settling in remote? We're all going through the same problems. So you can still start a basis of a conversation and pick that up once things start to get, back to normal.
Right. Absolutely. That makes so much sense to me. So my next question is about platform. So can social selling program run on any social media platform, or is it like specific ones like LinkedIn? Is it work across?
I think it really does depend on your industry and your audience. Predominantly for me, B2B space, LinkedIn is the place to be. But if you were in B2C, there's no reason why you can't do this on Instagram. Again, Instagram is a phenomenal channel. Lots of content is being posted on there. The same for Twitter. It could be a combination of channels. So it really does depend on where your audience is. But social selling can apply across various channels. Absolutely.
Right. All right. So again, it's kind of a follow-up question to one of my earlier questions. So what are your three tips? If I have to make a social selling program a success, we've been talking about some good pointers, but is there any 3 tips which I can always keep in the back of my mind so that when I am implementing it or I'm going to experiment on a pilot program of this, I can keep in mind?
First off, you need to be patient. It's not a quick fix. And I've come across this a number of times, whether it's social selling or ABM, whenever I've tried to implement it or speak to people about it and say, you need to be patient. This is about nurturing. It's not like an email campaign where you can knock it up quickly, press the button and you've got some numbers and hot leads, the clicks to play with. You need to be patient. Once you have your plan in place, it's about showing up daily. You need to invest the time. So I've spoken about this a number of times from my profile on the blogs that I do, that you should be able to invest at least 15 minutes, half an hour a day, and within that, very simply, especially on LinkedIn, you can, if you're following the right hashtags, you can see what's trending. You can comment. You can add value to your audience, but you need to have the patience. This is a long burn. But once you do start to see traction, then slowly that will start to build, and you'll enjoy it. And that's one of the key things about it. Because if you don't enjoy this process and you treat it as a selling part and don't focus on the social, it just won't work for you. So 1, I would say, be patient. 2, you need to personalize. So don't do the generic sort of thing. Try to avoid templates. Be personalized, especially in your outreach. When you're leaving comments or you're responding or you're sending messages, leaving a comment on someone's post like "great share" is okay, but it doesn't really add any value. But if there's something that it's a great article and you've taken some insight away from it, or it's an article that will remind you of an experience or something else you want to share, do that. Spend the time. It might take you five minutes to write a paragraph and share a link, but that sets you apart from everybody else. And that's about, personalizing your content, personalizing your outreach. That's the second thing. And the other 2 points that I've spoke upon was where we talk about adding value and being human. All of those, I know you said 3, but all of those four tips will really, set you apart. Right. Because they all take time, and people want to save time. So they'll try cut corners with automation tools and things like that. But those things will definitely stand you in good stead when it comes to this approach.
Right. So, the main thing what I hear here is the patience. Patience is very, very a key factor here, because most of the times what happens is when we want to quickly turn around some MQLs and things like that, we have some hacks to do that, and we run a campaign quickly. We are so used to that kind of turnaround. So to kicking off this, I think that tip will help us. Patience, long-term game. Absolutely, that's fantastic. Right. So my next question is about the dynamics of this program. Right. For example, if I have to run a social selling program,
Yeah.
is there any kind of tool or support system I need to look into before I kick it off?
There's a number of tools out there. There's more coming to fruition as we speak. We ourselves, we've got our own social selling tool, which is Origin Blurbs. And for me, that's a great tool because we've developed it based upon our experiences of we thought there was, there needs to be something that ticks all the boxes. But in general, what I've done is I've looked at this and I've broken it down into 4 categories for you guys. So if you think about the prospecting angle, so profiling, look at the companies. Number 1 is going to be LinkedIn, and if you have Sales Navigator, use it, utilize it. I still think there's a lot of education that needs to be done around LinkedIn. It still has this stigma attached to it that it's just for job seekers, and it's totally not. Microsoft did not buy that platform for it to be for job seekers. That platform has evolved so much, and from what I've read in terms of how it's going to integrate with Office 365 and using AI and the rest of it, it's going to get even better. So LinkedIn is the first one, and then I would also say when it comes to firmographics and technographics, there's Owler, there's Data and Eyes. So those will help you in terms of building the picture of your target audience, to build that that high profile wish list of people that you want to target, that you want to get in front of their ecosystem. Right. Then there's content. So content's always going to be king. So you've got your own marketing and sales team, which will have a lot of the nuggets, have a lot of the experience, because those guys are out there, they're in the field, they're having the conversations. But we need to back that up as well. So you can use tools such as BuzzSumo, there's Reddit, and there's Ubersuggest, great tools when it comes to content research. And then you've got content curation, because it has to be pleasing on the eye as well. So for me, I'm very fortunate. I've got a design team here who knocks things up really, really quickly for me. But if you don't have that, then tools such as Canva and Easily, again, are great when it comes to branding and visual elements. Yeah. And then you've got the content distribution. Now, this is where you want a tool that doesn't just distribute content, automate content and just blast it out. You want a tool that can, if you've got a sales team, say you've got a team of 6, each individual will possibly have a different vertical or a different geographical location across the sales team. Each network is different. Each person has a different tone of voice. Each person might be targeting different people. They're going to need individual pieces of content.
Absolutely.
So this is where you want to get yourself a social selling tool where you can create content on the desktop at the hub and distribute that. So your sales team get their own bespoke content in the app where they can just share that with their network. So you do a good distribution tool. Now, a lot of people do go for Hootsuite because it is known as this social selling tool. But for me, it's a very basic platform just to share content rather than being that specific and driving that key content into the individual salesperson's hand. So those will be sort of my top sort of tools that you guys can use at various different stages of your social selling journey and plan.
Right. That's a lot of good tools, actually. And you have covered the end-to-end journey of a program. So I hope people are taking notes and, they make use of it. All right. So anyway, I have a follow-up question on that Origin Blurbs. I want to know more about it, but I'll keep it towards the end of the discussion. So my next question is about what you already discussed about the patience and empathy. Social selling will need heaps of empathy and patience. So we as organizations, we are used to, sometimes we get desperate for leads and, sales and things like that. So how do we manage, how do we sell this kind of program, or how do we manage that expectation within an organization?
Well, I think first off is, you don't just hang your hat on social selling. You are going to continue doing the marketing activities that are part of your overarching plan. That's a given. But as I said at the beginning, we live in a total different world now. People are online, so having that online presence is key. And this is almost where the employee advocacy element comes into play as well, because if your whole organization sharing content, I mean meaningful content, not just, businesses struggle when it comes to just resharing company posts, and people do it all the time. They just share it, but there's no comment. They're not really bothered. They just think, I've done a job. And internally, it's a struggle for marketing because they have to send emails around, they have to do reminders. But if you get your whole organization bought into this culture and this mindset of the benefit that they can do in terms of sharing relevant content with their network, your brand is being positioned and your brand reach is going to be huge. And again, depending on the channels, as you know, LinkedIn still has a bit of an organic reach. Your brand presence is going to be key, and it's coming from your employees, it's coming from your workforce. And the earned media value on that is going to be huge. The amount that people spend on ads and PPC, this is free. This is you're just giving your employees the right content to share with their networks. And on average, each person, especially on LinkedIn, will have 500 plus people within their network. So if you times that by 10, you're talking to those sort of numbers. That's a pretty good reach for a free piece of marketing, in essence. So why wouldn't you do it?
Right. Yeah. So that's a for an organic reach, that kind of path is always good. It's I will not say it's easy. It's tough to manage your employee advocacy program, but if you can crack it, nothing like it. So that's a good point there. Right. So patience, or maybe looking at the positives, is much better to bring in the patience element to the program. All right. So another buzzword which everybody uses these days is account-based marketing, ABM, right? So everybody talks about it, but I've never heard, apart from very few people, one of them is you, because I watch your content regularly. So very few people talk real stuff about account-based marketing. It's sometimes it overlaps with social selling and things like that. So it's totally confusing. So is there a connection? Is there any connection between social selling and ABM?
Absolutely. So as you know, I've been implementing ABM for some time, and we've got our own approach here at Origin. ABM is fantastic, but it's not easy. It's a total shift in mindset and culture. So if we just take into consideration what we are used to, traditional sales methodology, we're used to the funnel, wide at the top, linear at the bottom. And it's all about getting leads at the top. And as you said, MQLs and SQLs. Now, what isn't highlighted enough is the fact that there's less than 1% conversion rate when you take that approach, because it's traditional. Yep. It's not gated, it's not targeted. It's just focused on getting leads in at the top. And marketing saying, well, I've done my bit. I've passed you those leads. And sales are on the other side saying, these leads are rubbish. So this is, it's true. And I've been there, I've done it. And this is where ABM comes into play, because we flip the funnel and we go linear at the top and wide at the bottom, because we don't go out to anyone, not every man and his dog. We are focusing on that set number of key accounts. So when I go in and I speak to sales and marketing team and businesses, it's who is your ideal customer? Who do you want to get in front of? And that's the same with social selling. Where are your target audience? Where do they live? Then once we've established that list, then it's who are the key people we want to get in front of, the key decision makers, again, the same. So the steps are the same. But what I would say is that if you can adopt a social selling culture mindset program first, because one, the costs are lower, and you can get the buy-in from your teams, and you can start to get the sales and marketing alignment, which is one of the biggest factors why so many ABM campaigns fail. You're overcoming a number of hurdles, and you're setting yourself up to, when you are ready to do ABM, you're being in a much better place rather than going in cold. Now, I've done ABM going in absolutely cold with businesses, and it's not been easy. It's hard, especially when you're trying to get the sales and marketing teams to work together. You have sales guys that are really good at what they do, but they are very set in their ways. So even though they'll sit there and be like, yeah, this is brilliant, this is the best thing I've ever heard, we'll kick off the campaign and it'll just be like, right, so when are you going to give me the hot leads? And it's like, no, it doesn't work like that. Social selling, for me, is a really good approach just to setting yourself up for ABM, because you would have a buy-in, you'll have the right mindset, they'll be used to the interaction, the engagement, the conversations, and sales and marketing alignment. So those are very powerful points. So there is absolute crossover. And if you can, and if you're thinking about doing ABM, I would say adopt social selling first, give that a go. The costs are lower, you probably get sign off quicker. Trial it, do it for a minimum of 6 to 12 months. Take your findings away, and then embark on a true ABM program.
Right. Yeah, I've never heard it like that before. So thank you for enlightening me also, because I have had a lot of conversations about ABM with a lot of players. The first thing, they will start pitching me the tool, which is super expensive. My boss is never going to approve that. So that's where the conversation has reached maximum. All right. So the other when I begin the show, I told that I started this talk show because I wanted to introduce SMBs and entrepreneurs who are exciting enough for people to get inspiration from. So I have kept it as a rule that I will not bring agencies on board, because I have a lot of friends who run agencies and it will be a nightmare. So, but since you are here and I want to know more about Origin Growth, because I'm totally intrigued by the way you guys work. So my next question is all about Origin Growth. So I want to know what Origin Growth focuses on, right? And what kind of clients do you help, and what kind of areas or what kind of work you guys do for your clients?
So, in essence, we are a boutique agency, and we challenge the traditional. I'm very fortunate to work with the people that I work with. Our CEO James has been in digital since it started. I think he probably did the first website for Cadbury's back in the day. So in terms of the digital expertise, just showed his age there, but he's the guru when it comes to digital. And then my fellow director Alid, in terms of creativity, again, he's been doing it for such a long period of time. So the three of us collectively together, supported by the wider team, it's a really collective mix where we gel together, and we were looking at how we work with clients, and for us it's always starting with the end goal. What is everyone looking to achieve? Because none of us believe in cookie cutter models or taking something off the shelf, and there's no such thing as one size fits all. But really, we work with clients across a range of industries, and if you look on the website, you see some fantastic case studies. But we've got fintech, there's SaaS, we've worked in healthcare. I've done a lot of work, and still am over in the States, Silicon Valley, with our client there. It's a really collective mix. It's with SMEs always all the way up to the big blue chip sort of clients. But for us, what's really key is speak to these clients and say, right, what problems are you facing? Now, 9 times out of 10, it's always to do with growth, whether that's growth of their business or they want to grow their e-commerce side of the business, because we also work with Silver Cross. It's always to do with growth. So then we work together collaboratively, and one of the trademarks that we have here is the whiteboard. We always get people in the room and we map things out on a whiteboard, and we create bespoke, tailored marketing plans. Now, you can't fake that. It's there, it's gone. You're doing it. You do it with the client together, and you've got the input. You've got digital expertise, you've got the creative expertise, you've got the marketing expertise, plus the wider team, and then you're listening to the client, and you're involving them in the process as well. So there isn't this, let me go away, give me a week, I'll come back, then I'll do a presentation. So we are very much different from other agencies, and we've done that purposely because of the fluidity and the flexibility of how we work. So that's why I feel sets us apart, and why I love what I do. Because as you said, I'm very passionate about this place and how we work and how we interact with our clients.
Right. Fantastic. Actually, I've never heard about an agency taking that approach, because typically what you mentioned is what happens. The client goes, he sends some documents, you read through it, you prepare a deck, present it, and that's the journey. That's fantastic, actually. So My final question will be about COVID-19, right? So, how has this pandemic affected Sudhir and Origin growth? Is it all going well? How is London? How is UK?
Um, it's affected everyone. It's been a challenge. I think a lot of ambiguity. This is something new. Everyone's in the same boat, but you've got to look at the positives of every situation. And I think for me and for Origin, it was about routine. Let's stick to our routine of how we work. Obviously, remote working with the rest of the team, they settled in really well. And then what we found is that, as I've said, we've looked at what's been happening in terms of the market, and rather than trying to sell, we were just simply having conversations with people in the first instance, showing some empathy. Generally, are you okay? What's going on? Can we do anything to help? And we had those conversations. There was a lot of acceleration when it came to digital adoption, whether it was webinars or facilitating Zoom and webinar video conferencing facilities. But there's been so many positives to take out of COVID. I've seen more people exercising, more people checking in on their loved ones. Myself, I just had to keep myself busy, so I did a lot of baking, as a lot of people did. Sourdough. We had a bit of a sourdough thing going on here between James, myself, and Alid, which James is winning. I'm not happy about that. Trying to keep active, working out as I can, whatever I can, and using the time to read, which is one of my passions. So I spent a lot of time reading more,
Right?
Because in the normal world, I would probably listen to audio Bible when I'm driving to work and read now and then on the weekend. Whereas now I've possibly got more time to read rather than logging on Netflix and watching trash TV. Not really my thing. And then also concentrate on the book. So, I started that at the beginning of the year. Before COVID, it was one of my goals for the new year. It's based upon all my experiences, and now with everything that's happened, it's brought that to fruition. And I in my head is that I need to get this finished now. So I've been focusing on that. But for us as a business, just really looking at the pain points and challenges people are faced with now, which a lot of it is going to be digital transformation. How can they get products to market quicker? Development cycles and convenience. User experience now is going to be key. Right. We want that convenience. People may not want to leave the house. People, will want to purchase their products. So then if you look at the whole 360-degree view of a customer journey, whether they're from their phone, from searching to entering a website, the UX journey, how they enter their details, how accurate is that when it comes to address verification? How are you going to take that payment? What payment provider do you use? How many payments can you take? Because there's so many different currencies now. And then how that data gets transferred to the 3PL provider. Is that product and package going to turn up on time at your doorstep? Yeah. That's a whole 360-degree view of the world now. And we've spent a lot of time looking into that because we've got clients in various different spaces. So for us, it was eye-opening. And like I said, rather than being negative and, worried about it, we just embraced it. We looked at the opportunities, we looked at where our strengths lie, and we've excelled with that. And we're just pushing on with it.
Yeah, that's nice actually. You got me when you said that we started talking to customers more. So that itself was the best thing to do, if you ask me.
Really, because we're all busy. Yeah. We're so busy all the time. So it was great just to take a time out and just to speak to people and check in on them. I mean, you work with these people daily. Work is a massive part of your life. You have these clients for a long time, and you build good relationships with them. So it was always great just to check in on them and make sure everything was okay moving forward. So again, to show some empathy and compassion.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, in midst of all this negativity, I think it has taught us the lesson that you need to check on people, and it's a standard phrase to end every email, every WhatsApp, every SMS with "stay safe."
Yeah.
We never used to say that, but now we say
True.
that. So anyway, thank you, Sudhir. Thank you so much for your time. And let me ask you one question. When is the book coming out? When can we expect it?
Hopefully this year. So I've got a little bit more left to do. The first draft is almost finished, and then once I've done that, I'll get it looked at by a few people here. If there's anything else to add, but I'm going to try my best to get it out for this year. And the book, the focus of the book is simply to add value and give back. So I won't be making any money off the book. Once the publishing and the printing costs have been taken, anything additional, I'm just going to give to charity. So you win-win. If you buy the book, hopefully you get some insight and you contribute towards charity.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Very nice. I'll be obviously buying it. So charity or no charity, I'll be buying it. So thank you so much, Sudhir. And I want you to stay safe, and let's connect more and help each other more. All right. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you having me. It's been great. I hope all your network found it of use. You know where I am.
Yep.
And please do share the guide, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yep. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. So that was Sudhir Kumar, Marketing Director, Origin Growth, right? So the thing is, social selling is tossed around a lot in organizations, right? We all talk about it. Let's kick off social selling program, but it never happens in the right way because we run out of patience very soon. We want leads, interest, just like that. It doesn't happen, right? Unless and until you understand your audience, unless and until you're empathetic with them, unless and until you cater to their needs, after understanding that, you're not going to survive in the long term. So social selling is one of those tactics and methodologies which every organization should look into. All right. So that was episode 10. I can't believe I did 10 episodes, so COVID is not all that bad. So next week, I have one of the top influencers from customer experience coming on the show. I had Annette France last week, and next week, it's going to be somebody else from the CX world. So I want all of you to stay safe, and I'll see you next Friday, same time, same channel. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.